Hey guys, Hey guys, so I wanted to do a little bit of a different video today. I wanted to kind of share facts, signs, symptoms, all that sort of thing about a few different eating disorders. I think that it's really important just to bring awareness to everyone, especially in the fitness community. I think that a lot of it does go unnoticed. A lot of people just aren't educated and they don't pick up on these things. So just before I go into them, I did get all of this offline. It's on like the National Eating Disorder website, which I will link down below. I did look it up, but I did make sure it was from a well-known website. Oh, just a little disclaimer. If you have some of these symptoms, that doesn't mean that you have the eating disorder, and not everybody that has the eating disorder has all these symptoms that I'm gonna say. It does like depend on the person, but I also wanted to say eating disorders and just things of this nature should not be taken lightly. It's a very sensitive topic, especially to somebody who's either had one or has one, or just, genuinely cares about that stuff. So if I look over here, I wrote everything down on my computer because, like I said, I don't want to give you guys any wrong information. The first one that I want to start with is anorexia. Basically just some different signs and symptoms. Big one obviously is not eating, staying away from situations that involve food. A lot of the times, I know like some of the girls in my high school that, I don't fully know if they did have an eating disorder, but a lot of times like girls will tend to skip lunch, or they'll not go down to the cafeteria, or they'll tell you, oh, I already ate, or oh, I'm not hungry, I had a really big breakfast, something like that. And sometimes that happens, you're not hungry, but if it's happening repeatedly, it could be a sign. A lot of the times girls who do have anorexia have a huge fear of gaining weight. And another thing that I wanted to say is when you have anorexia, like keep in mind that eating disorders are a mental disorder. It's not something, a lot of times girls that have eating disorders don't even know they have one. Especially girls with anorexia will be, to my eye, very skinny and a little sickly looking, maybe skin and bone, depending on like how severe it is. But to them, when they look in the mirror, they see fat, or they think they see fat. So just because you see someone and you're like, oh wow, like you're really skinny, doesn't mean that they know that, if that makes sense. There are two types of anorexia. There is binging and purging, and then there's restrictive. So what binging and purging is you essentially eat an absurd amount of food, or a lot for you, and then you make yourself throw it up, and that is the purging part. So essentially you're eating the food, but then you're throwing it up, so you're still not eating. There's the restrictive type, which is you don't eat at all, or you eat very, very little. Just general warning signs that anorexia could be a possibility. If somebody has dramatic weight loss in a short amount of time, once again, I know like psychiatrists, sometimes you can tell in their face will look kind of dry and not very full, and then their shoulders and collarbone will start to thin out next. So a lot of times you can, tell up here. Refusal to eat certain foods. I was sitting near someone who actually was diagnosed with an eating disorder and was actually hospitalized for it. And I was sitting near her, and someone brought like bread over to our table, and she had to like turn away and couldn't even look at the bread because it just scared her to think about eating it. And then just anxiety when it comes to eating, just, scared to eat anything, depending on how severe it is. You might just be scared to eat junk food at first. You might, just be scared to eat bread or carbs or whatever it may be. Next eating disorder that I wanted to talk about is bulimia. And what bulimia is essentially the binging and purging aspect of anorexia. You eat an absurd amount of food to make yourself throw up. So you eat until you're so uncomfortably full that you either throw up on your own, or you feel like you want to throw up, and so you go make yourself throw up. A lot of the times people who have this will go to the bathroom immediately after they eat. because that tends to be like the easiest time to throw something up because your body hasn't even digested it yet. And a lot of times this is to the victim specifically. They'll feel out of control when they're eating, and you know, sometimes it could not even be on purpose. They physically feel like they just can't stop eating and they just keep eating. Also, laxative and diuretics count as like you can use laxative and diuretics to, you know, either to make yourself get rid of the food, and that still would categorize under bulimia. Just because you're not making yourself throw up, you're still doing something unnatural to your body that, you know, makes the food go out of your system. So just some little signs for this: discoloration and staining of the teeth, calluses on the back of your hand from like making yourself throw up, swelling up here of the cheeks and jaws, and frequent trips to the bathroom after a meal. Usually if you have bulimia, you still do seem to have an average body weight. Unlike anorexia, you can't look at someone and say, you know, they probably have bulimia. It's actually very hard to tell. The next one is binge eating disorder. So usually when you have binge eating disorder, you basically just eat a lot and you don't do anything afterward. You kind of just feel sick, you feel very guilty, you can feel disgusted with yourself. I know, well, I don't personally know, but you know, a lot of the times, you know, even if like a regular person eats a lot, like they still kind of feel like, oh crap, like I shouldn't have done that. Imagine that like on an extremely larger scale. And that's probably what a lot of the people who experience binge eating feel. Another thing with binge eating is just because you overeat sometimes does not mean you have binge eating disorder. In order for someone to actually be diagnosed with binge eating, you have to binge once a week for 3 months. And the body weight of the individual is going to range. One other thing is that it can involve periodic fasting and then consuming large amounts of food. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is body dysmorphia. So basically what body dysmorphia is basically when somebody sees something drastically wrong with them and it just consumes them. They don't stop thinking about it. It starts taking away from their social life. It starts causing them stress. It starts, you know, altering their relationship with their family. Again, it all depends on how severe it is. I definitely did experience some of this when I was on prep, because looking back at my pictures now, I'm like, how the hell did I think I was anything but lean? Like, I just don't know. But when I was in that body, I was like, oh my God, look at all this fat I have to lose. Because, you know, you see the end goal, which is lean as crap, and then you look at yourself and all you see is fat. Prevention for anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating disorder is still very limited, but at least on this website, it says that education, teaching girls at a younger age or bringing it to the attention of girls at a younger age, helping educate them on what exactly an eating disorder is, what some of these signs are, so that they can pick them out in themselves, or so that, you know, they're at least aware that these things aren't healthy. Large social actions are going to need to be taken in order to do any preventing of eating disorders, especially, or at least in my opinion. These are not things to be taken lightly. Like I said, like these are mental disorders. This isn't something you choose to have. It's just something that happens, especially because of our society. Sadly, like I can't give you guys like a straightforward answer on how to prevent an eating disorder or how to help someone with an eating disorder. It really depends on the individual, how severe it is. Recovery can take months, it can take years. It's not just something where you wake up one day and everything switches off. You know, you're gonna have the tendencies, you might have some of the signs, but like gradually it gets better. One tip, this is what I read on the website too, that I thought was a really good tip, is if you are seeking recovery or going through recovery or whatever like that, don't cut off your support, don't cut off your friends. I know it's tough, and like I can't speak for people who have eating disorders, but I know personally I have had to, you know, be there for a friend that has either had an eating disorder or been going through a hard time and a hard relationship with food. You know, it's hard helping someone when they don't want to be helped, or they're, you know, or or they think they're okay. I know that was super quick and a little choppy, but I hope this helped you guys and just brought awareness or any more information to you guys about eating disorders. I will link the website that I got all of this information off of right in the description box. There's stories of girls who have had eating disorders. There's recovery stories on there. You know, you can look up the prevention, symptoms, physical effects, mental effects. I know it's a really touchy subject and everything, but bottom line is I think the awareness just needs to go way up, because being aware of these things makes it a lot easier for younger girls and other girls to defer, you know, when someone is going through a rough time or when someone could possibly have an eating disorder. You know, it's important to be able to realize when you're having some of these symptoms and ways that you can help yourself. That is all I have to say. If you have any other questions about any of the disorders that I talked about, you can leave them down below, and I will do my best to either find the answer or refer you to somewhere. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next one.